to end this season? Just your thoughts on the game.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we just beat ourselves today. False starts, turnovers, mental errors. Certainly wasn't high-level football today.
Do you think that's because it was the end of the season? Or do you think it's just sometimes you have those games, the opponent? Sure.
It's tough to say. I mean, we certainly can't have the mental errors we had today. Why? What caused that? I don't know. But it can't happen.
You were able to keep Myles Garrett out until we finally got the one late. How big of a part of the game plan was keeping him neutralized and out of that?
Yeah, you have to if you want to be successful against that team. He's the focus of our game plan every time we play him. It's no secret. You have to, and it's challenging because you have to commit resources to that, and that takes away resources from elsewhere. But for the most part, I thought we were pretty good against him today. But you can see how impactful he is. We have no help on him one time, and he gets one. And then he was, I'm pretty sure it was him that put his hand up and knocked the ball down on the goal line into an interception. I don't know that for sure because I haven't watched the tape, but it was his side. It was one of those guys over there. So he's an aware, elite player that you have to revolve your game plan around.
I know we've asked you a lot about the future, so sorry for a few future questions last time we get to talk to you for a little bit. How involved do you plan to be? I know you said quarterback, but you also know your voice carries a lot of weight here in this organization. How involved do you plan to be in conversations with Mike, Duke, Zac immediately following the season about what you think and what you want this franchise to do to make sure that this offseason goes the way that you want it to?
Yeah, I think we'll have those meetings the next couple of days. I think for the most part we're all on the same page about what we have to do and where we have to go. Without having the meetings, it's tough to say, but I know they certainly value my opinion. I think about things critically. I think that I can provide some insight into things going on in the locker room and on the field that could help us win, and so I plan to voice some things just like I do every offseason.
Just to follow up on that, I know you're not going to share a lot publicly, but whatever you're comfortable sharing, if you had to say what you want to see most this offseason done by this organization to help support you, what would you say it is?
Yeah, it's tough to say right now without talking to people, and those meetings will be done the next few days. I'm very confident in our coaching staff. I know those guys work really hard to put us in good positions, and I always feel well prepared and put in the best spot to go out and succeed. So from that standpoint, I think we're in a good spot.
Do you have the same level of confidence in the organization as you did at the beginning of the year, higher or lower?
We all want to win.
Do you think your championship mindset is being matched organizationally? Do you see that? Do you feel that?
I mean, I sure hope so. I think I know everybody's frustrated right now, so it's hard to. There's a disconnect during the season. We're all down here and focused on the day-to-day and trying to get better, and it's their job upstairs to focus on the big picture and where we need to go and who we need to be. So, I know they're committed to that.
When you guys were winning division titles and going to the AFC Championship game and went to Super Bowl 56, the big reason why was some of your free agents that you guys brought in and external guys. How important do you think for this organization?
Yeah, that's of paramount importance. I think you have to identify where you're weak and figure out a way to be strong in that area. That's the NFL year in and year out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you have to attack that period with intent to get better.
Were you surprised by the South game when Garrett got the record? Zach said the officials hadn't informed him in advance. So that
Yeah, I mean, was I surprised? No. No, I wasn't surprised. That's typically how they handle those kinds of situations.
Can you walk us through that play and that led on his sack, what y'all called and kind of how he won? Do you remember?
You know, I'm trying to remember if we had. It's tough to recall right now the exact protection IDs on that. Whether we, because certain looks you can't have help on 95 because of the potential pressure responses that they give. But it's tough to remember the exact call in that situation off the top of my head.
When going back to some of the earlier questions, when you guys are this far removed now from being in the postseason, does that kind of wear on you and build maybe a little bit more pressure, on everybody to get back to that point when it gets further and further away from where y'all expect to be?
We certainly aren't where we want or need to be, not where I expect to be. So, yeah, we have to figure it out. We got to figure it out.
I don't think Shania had a catch in the second half until that last drive. Anything you guys do that opened it up or anything? Or,
No, not particularly. We wanted to come in and run the ball, try to mitigate the effect of their rush, and I think we ran it well. We got to a point in the game that we couldn't really do that anymore, so then we started dropping back and throwing it a little more, and I thought we were effective.
I don't think they had their top corners early. Did you try to take advantage of that, or was it kind of that they went into something different?
Yeah, I think we did take advantage of that for the most part. I think we moved the ball well all day. It came down to them making a play on the goal line, putting their hand up, getting a tip, and then we fumbled and gave them another 7 points. So without those two corners out there, they certainly called the game a little differently than they would have otherwise. And I also thought we responded well to that and had the answers to those coverages that we were facing.
You talked about needing to find a way to be on the field more when you reflected on this season. With so many of your injuries just being fluke, what do you mean by that, and what can you do if you can do anything?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. I work really hard to be great at this and try to put myself in a good position and put the team in a good position. So whatever that looks like, I'm not sure. I'm going to certainly think critically about that and maybe make some changes, maybe not. Maybe I decide that what I'm doing is great and putting myself in a good position and, things happen. But certainly we'll think about it.
Physically, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. Yeah, I feel good.
Mentally and physically, how would you rate your performances since you've been back, and do you feel like you are given 100% all the way?
Yeah, I'm really proud of what I did this year. I came back from an injury faster than any human ever has. I'm really proud of that. I think I came back and played some really good football. I had one bad game, and you certainly don't want any of those, but I'm certainly not going to lose my mind over that. I think, when I came back, I played some really high-level football, and I'm certainly proud of what I did this year.
Would you want to win Comeback Player of the Year? I don't know if you could win it after being out in the same season.
Would I be eligible for it next year?
I don't know.
Maybe next year.
You look at where your career is 6 years in, is it easier or more difficult to block out the questions of what could have been if, you don't miss so much time with injuries in those 6 years?
Yeah, we're at where we're at. I'm at where what's happened has happened. Certainly don't want to miss as much time as I have, but that's where I'm at. So all you can do is evaluate the position that you're in and try to get better from there.
Joe, Zach was directly talked about kind of the pursuit of happiness more than you ever have. Why has that been such a big theme for you over the course of the season?
I think if you want to play this game for a long time, you got to enjoy what you do and who you do it with, and injuries certainly take a toll on that. And I just think in life, I certainly don't want to let losing and where our team is at the moment, affect all the other areas of my life. Certainly not happy with where we're at, but I'm not going to let that affect who I am and what I do and how I think about things.
Has that been a big shift? I think a lot of times a lot of people will say it's been such a big part of your life as it is. Have you been trying to maybe separate how much happiness you get from playing the game and how much it affects the rest of you? Is that pretty fair to say, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I work really hard at this, so it's certainly a hard pill to swallow when I'm getting injured the way that I am and we're losing the way that we are. And so, I haven't gotten that joy out of this that I used to from, the joy that I got was winning. And we certainly haven't had that success that we expect. And so I'm not just going to sit around and mope and be miserable to be around from loved ones and all of that. So I think it's just growth and maturity.
Is there anything different you're going to do maybe this offseason as you get prepared? Have you thought about that far yet?
Yes, I have thought about it, but not critically to the point of change yet.
Joe, Zac, what's the next week like for you?
Relax, be around friends and family, and stay up late. Stay in bed late.
What's late?
Who knows right now? I got no obligations for a while, so I'll just go to sleep when I get tired, I guess. Who knows?
Zac was asked about his message to the team after the game, and the way you guys lost this game, he said it was a little bit fitting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's certainly a microcosm of how things have gone these last 2 years. We certainly expect to win that game, and we didn't make the plays to do it. And you can say that for a lot of games over the last 2 years.
Joe, two-part question from me. One, how did the offensive line grow this year? And also with having Joe Flacco around, can you pick his brains?
Yeah, I think the O-line had their best year since I've been here. I didn't get to experience much of it at the beginning of the year, but since I've come back, I think it's the best that they've been. I think we've run it the best that we've run it since I've been here as well, and I think that has opened up certain aspects of our offense. And I really enjoyed having Joe in the room, getting to know him, and sharing laughs and stories and all of that. We had a great quarterback room this year that I didn't get to take as much part in it as I would have liked, but when I wasn't there, I had a lot of fun.
You guys come back from off-season workouts and Joe Flacco is back in that room. Would that make you happy?
Yeah, I'd love that. I think number one, he played well when he was in there, and he was fun to watch, and he brings a certain perspective that it's certainly unique. You don't get to be around guys that have played as long as he does and seen as much football as he has, and I think he would be valuable for us.
Well, it seemed like you got close a couple of times before he got that sack. Not even just today, but throughout the times you face him. How much just going up against him really tests that internal clock more, and as far as your reads and everything to make sure that you're going to the right place, that you know where you need to be just in case, because that's a guy that's just, like everybody said, he's just so much more athletic than most guys out there.
Yeah, I certainly don't go into a play thinking about it, but my natural instincts kick in, and you feel them quickly, often, and that certainly affects how far you can push the ball down the field, the protections that you can call, the plays that you can call, and how quickly you want to get the ball out of your hands. He's the best at what he does, and you try to mitigate that as much as you can with your play calls, your protection plan, and then how your quarterback plays.
How big are these next 8 months for the organization, just to make sure that this drought ends at 3, so that it doesn't go to 4, say you're competing for the division again, trying to get back to the playoffs, back to the AFC title game, et cetera, et cetera?
As big as it gets. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe. Zach, when you look at why y'all lost this one, what's the biggest reason?
It's tough. It was a strange game, obviously. To give them 14 points, we felt like we had pretty good control early in the game and had a chance to really, create a lot of separation, and gave them 14 points. And then the defense gives up 6 total. 2 field goals, and that's got to be enough to win. And you just look at there's just little things that got us. We missed 2 extra points. We had 2 turnovers for touchdowns. And then they had a 2-minute drive to win the game, and it's just frustrating. And it's just frustrating. That's the biggest thing. And then that we weren't able to finish it in some area, finish that game, and find a way to get a win.
What did you tell the team?
Yeah, it's a little bit fitting, to be honest with you, in terms of how our season's gone, and it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it. It's just, several times we've had games where we played well in different areas, and we just haven't found a way to put it all together. And there's been games these last couple of weeks we had, but this is one we need to finish off. In a divisional game, and this is how these divisional games go. And it usually comes down to a play at the end, 1-score game, and we weren't able to finish it off.
What was your view of kind of what Cleveland was able to do to be successful on their final drive?
Well, I mean, they hit a couple throws over there in the flat and got a couple chunks, and I thought we did a good job stopping them for 2 plays, and then they get the 1. That would just kind of get them, 10 yards and get them closer and put them in field goal range, and their kicker did a great job finishing off.
What do you think it's been this year about not being able to close out games?
Yeah.
It's, like you said, common theme. Is there something that you feel like going into the offseason that you can?
That's something we're going to have to look. To sit here today and give you that answer is challenging. And so we'll reflect back. Obviously, if we had the answer, we would have employed it today. So that's just something we got to really look at.
Was there a thought of, I know you needed the touchdown, but was there a thought of taking more time off the clock?
It's hard. Yeah, there's always, you'd love to score with 1 second left, but it's challenging. If you run it and you waste it down on a 0-yard gain, just for the sake of running the clock, it's challenging. So we've been in that situation a lot, or sometimes we don't score on the first play and we do that. Let's get points on the board, go get a stop and win the game, and it just didn't work out.
What makes it so tough, that defense, when you're against them?
They're incredibly tough. I mean, he's the best player on the defense side of the ball. He's the best player, and he wrecks every single play. You got to count for him. They got a really good defensive line. They got a really good defense around them. I'm not going to just minimize it and say it's a good defensive line. It's a really good defense. That's been challenging for every team they've played all season. You just look at these last couple games they've played. They do a great job. They make it hard. You got to earn everything. I thought we found some success at different points in the game, and just weren't able to score more than the 18 or whatever we scored.
For having the year that you guys have had, to ending of this game, defense has a chance to make a play, end the season on a high note. What kind of a taste does it leave, just having it end the way that it has so many times?
Yeah, not a good one. Not a good taste.
You had a long conversation with the officials after the Garrett sack. What was going on there? What were you?
There's 5 minutes left in our season. We're playing for our lives here, and I was never told that we're going to stop the game, and in a critical moment like that. And the refs just said that they made a decision that they were going to stop the game, and they said they tried to do it as quickly as possible. I didn't feel that. We didn't sub. We're trying to be on the ball and go and play with tempo, and the umpire just held the ball so that we couldn't do anything. And I'm yelling at Joe, get on the ball. We didn't sub. We're going, and we couldn't play. And so, again, trying to get an answer was not easy. They just said that they made a decision as a crew to stop the game when that happened. I guess it didn't matter when it happened. It just, they were going to stop the game and let it happen.
And you weren't informed of that?
No, I was never informed of that. They didn't say one word. We meet with them in the 90-minute meeting before the game. They never said one word about that.
How did you did you approach this like a normal game for Burrow in terms of week 18?
Yeah.
You obviously played the full share of reps.
Yes. We played that game to win the game, and every decision we made, and I don't know what was made of the Garrett sack record, and he's earned that. He has earned that. He has earned that because, and I say that because we weren't saying we don't want to walk out of here without him breaking. We just wanted to win the game, so we were going to call whatever we did to win it. And But to his credit, I mean, the guy he rarely has one-on-ones, ever. And so for him to be able to do that and get that record, I didn't track the other times those records were broken, but this was unbelievable that he was able to do that with everything that is put on him on the tape and minimized. And they don't play with leads, typically. And I'm not trying to take a shot at him. That's just the truth of it this year. And so that's a credit to him, man. He's earned that.
Why did you choose to bring Flacco in on the quarterback sneak?
Just bigger body there. They were really loading up the front. If you saw some of those short yardage plays, and Flacco's obviously a much bigger body.
Y'all had some rhythm there on the drive that put y'all ahead late. What kind of maybe enabled y'all to have the rhythm there late in the second half that you maybe didn't earlier in the half?
I don't think we had a lot of possessions, really. I think that was, I don't know what possession that was in the drive. We had one in the third quarter, if I remember correctly, and finished, the quarter ended with one. And so it didn't feel like we had a lot of plays there in the second half. We had a bunch in the first half and not as many in the second half.
Chase Brown, Zac went over 1,000 yards rushing today. He also caught a touchdown pass. Is he one of the very biggest highlights for you?
Yeah, I thought he had an outstanding season and very dependable for us. Has really worked hard to be the player that he is. And so for the production to match that, I'm really proud of Chase. Proud of the guys up front, that have helped pave the way for those rushing yards. Proud of Justin Hill. Justin's done a great job getting that room, getting them to reach their full potential. So obviously these milestones and achievements are bittersweet when it happens like this, but at the same time, when a player puts a lot into his work and his craft and his career, and you're happy to see them to reach those milestones that will be with them forever.
I know you've suggested this or hinted at this before, but how confident are you that there's enough brain power in the building, both coaching staff, administration, all of it together, to make sure this doesn't happen next year?
I'm very confident.
Why? Why do you?
We have really good people, and I enjoy working with them, and this stings all of us equally. And I trust everybody.
Certainly a great season. Didn't miss an extra point.
I missed it.
Evan McPherson, sorry.
Yeah.
How unusual is that to see him miss 2 extra points? Although I know one was tipped, but how unusual was that?
Yeah, well, I think you got to factor that in. One was tipped, and the second one, to be truthful, I don't have an answer for you right now.
When the seasons end, what are the conversations usually like with the front office with y'all as you kind of get ready for?
I'll just keep those private to ourselves.
Is there any long-term concern? Obviously, DJ with calf.
No, not long-term. No, none of them are long-term. So that's all that matters.
Is there any frustration from kind of a staff and a team that, you guys have had, put up a lot of points against Pittsburgh, a lot against Baltimore, but Cleveland seems to be that one team that you seem to struggle against more than most others? Does it kind of get frustrating knowing, obviously they have Myles, obviously that the defensive front, but is there, just kind of some frustration that seems to be like the one team that's just hard to crack?
No, I think a lot of teams have a hard time scoring and moving the ball against them. We'd beaten them the last 4 times, and we had a really great opportunity to beat them again today for a 5th time. So sometimes in this league, it's not always pretty, and I wish we scored 50 every game and the production was outstanding. But there's also times you go in and you have a lot of respect to your opponent, and they've earned that, and they've made it really challenging on everybody, including us. So I know that we always feel that, and our fan base feels that, but so does every team that walks into Cleveland and plays against them. And we didn't find enough ways to score today to be able to separate ourselves.
What do the next 24 hours look like for you?
Meet with a lot of players. It's the exit day for those guys. So we'll have a team meeting in the morning. They'll do their physicals. They'll get with their position coaches and myself as much as I can, and then we'll let them be on their way. We work really hard on the relationships. Those are more important things, and we want those guys to trust us. We work really hard to put them in great positions so that they can get the most out of their abilities and help our team win. And I think that they see that and they respect that. And the only way we can reach our potential with those 2 guys is if you got a relationship to match it, where you pour into them and they know that you want the best for them. And I've worked really hard with those 2 guys, as our coaches have, and they've reciprocated that. And so it's a hard thing to do because you face a lot of adversity, as a group, and you go through a lot of ups and downs. And to do it with those guys is special because of how hard they work and how much it means to them. And so I think to be a part of that, I don't take it for granted. is something we're working hard at.